The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Into the Pit or the Vibes Broadcast Network. This show is intended for mature audiences. Please welcome your host, Coyote Knight.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Into the Pit. We're so glad to have Mr. Daryl Marston from Ghost Hunters on here. And we're just two guys that's going to be kicking back and talking, and who knows what's going to come out of our mouths in the next, 45 minutes or so. And we're both dippers, so I don't care if it looks disgusting. We're going to do it anyway. So, Daryl, let's just talk about you. Where are you from, and where you grew up, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm originally from Middletown, Delaware, and I still live in Middletown, Delaware to this very day. This is home for me. It's been a blessing being out here on the East Coast. I love it. But you guys see on the show, we do travel everywhere. I know you're in Texas. Been in Texas like literally 10 or 15 times in the last year alone. We're everywhere. But it's been an amazing ride, man. Good times.
Well, sweet. Now, how in the world did you get into the paranormal?
This is a funny story by complete accident. I was always into the paranormal as a kid. I always loved it. Didn't know what a ghost hunter or paranormal investigator was, but in the early 2000s, when all these shows started coming out like Ghost Hunters, I watched them. Of course, I never thought I would be doing it until I actually around 2005 or 6, I got invited to an investigation at Fort Delaware. It was around Halloween. The local team was doing it, and so was the fort. They were putting up an event. So I went. It was a nighttime event. It was like 3 hours long or something like that. I remember vaguely, like there was like literally 100 people there when we got there. Now anybody who's been to Fort Delaware knows about it. It's an island, so you got to take a ferry to get to it. So you get to the island and you get there, and there's literally 100 people in this room, and there's a park ranger or a couple park rangers, and there's just one old guy sitting in the corner. And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but these guys are people who run the place. And they're like, okay, guys, we're going to do two different ways. You can do the historical tour, or you can do the paranormal tour. Now, 2005, 2006, not too many people were into paranormal, very few.
Right.
So literally 95, 96% of the people in the room raised their hand to go on the historical tour. And literally it was me, my mom, I think my stepsister, and a couple that were there. Said, oh, we'll do the paranormal tour. And this old guy gets up. He's like, all right, I'm your tour guide. Let's go. So we go down to the casemates. And that's where they used to keep the prisoners during the Civil War. And I have a first paranormal experience there that I can remember. I actually saw, wasn't a full body apparition, but it was a man, from shoulder up, the head, standing there in the casemate. He was staring at us. I can remember him now. He had long, scraggly hair, probably shoulder length, and a really dirty beard. It looked like it had leaves and stuff in it. He looked really disheveled, maybe he was a prisoner of war or something. And I remember seeing him stand there. I'm staring at this thing. I've never seen anything like it. And it just kind of it sucked back into almost like a vortex. It looked like this. It just sucked away. It was gone. Mm-hmm. I didn't say anything to anybody until we got out of there. I told my stepsister and my mom, and I was hooked from there, man. That's all. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know anything about the equipment or even how to investigate. All I know is I want to do this. Mm-hmm. And I started doing it locally, the local haunts. And then I met my girlfriend at the time, and she's my wife now. She liked it. So we started doing it together, and we would do places like Gettysburg, Fort Delaware, any place, that was in driving distance. And started my team in 2011, Breaking Paranormal. And most of my team was from Ohio. Mm-hmm. So, which anybody geographically knows, that's literally 10 hours away from where I live. And we would travel a lot back and forth. We'd go to Ohio and do investigations, Kentucky, Maryland, PA, all over PA, and it grew. And I started doing live streams and podcasts. I started out on YouTube and ended up on a Paranormal Warehouse, where my show's still running to this day, the American Ghost Hunter Show. It's still going strong. I have a buddy of mine who's running it, Alex King, and that's where I'm at now, man. You know, besides, you know, doing Ghost Hunters, which I got called for, and went out and started filming, and sitting here with you now, man.
Yeah, I've talked to Alex several times. He kept saying, "Oh yeah, I'll get Daryl on your show," and I waited and I waited and I waited, and then I messaged him one day and he goes, "Didn't I take care of that already?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, he's something else, man.
He's a cool guy though. I like talking to him. I told him I need to get him on the show as well, but he hadn't said yay or nay yet.
Oh, he'll do it.
Yeah, but and what actually? I mean, I'm sorry. How actually did you get started with the Ghost Hunters crew?
Well, here's the story. I was at home one night, hanging out with my son. My wife wasn't here. She was somewhere, I can't remember. And we were actually in the kitchen having a Nerf gun war of all things. And I remember my phone was sitting on the kitchen island, and it would start buzzing. And I looked at the number, and I didn't recognize it was a California number. I was like, I don't know who this is. It said, maybe Pilgrim Media. I'm like, I'm trying to think, who the hell is Pilgrim Media? That name sounds so familiar. I let it go to voicemail, and they left a message. I picked it up. I listened. It was a producer out in LA, and he was like, "Hey man, we want to, interview you for a paranormal TV show. Would you be interested?" So I said, "All right, let's check this out." So I called him back. We played phone tag. Finally talked to the guy. Next thing I know, the next day I'm doing a Skype meeting with some other producers. I get off the Skype meeting. I literally walk out my back door, tell my wife how the meeting went, and I get a phone call offer me a contract to hold me. I was like, okay, all right, whatever, cool. And next thing I know, I'm getting phone calls. We need you to fly out to LA and meet with some of the executive producers. I said, okay. So I'm out in LA and meet the executive producer of the show, and I meet the owner of the company. And I fly back home. About a week later, I get the phone call. Hey, we want to hire you. You got the job. And this was a Monday afternoon, excuse me. I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome, man. Great. So I'm thinking I'm going to start like in a month, 2 months. Oh no, you start Sunday. So literally, like,
Dang.
I had 5 days. 5 days and I got my life together. Thank God I owned my own company. I had a partner, and I let him, run everything. And I took off and been on the road ever since, man. We just wrapped season 2 back in mid-February.
Dang.
Yeah.
That happened pretty quick.
It was probably, I mean, I sped it up a little bit there, but the whole process from the time they called me to the time I actually got the job was probably about 4 to 5 weeks total. Yeah.
Dang.
I had to go through a lot, man. People don't realize, when, a show's picking you up, I mean, you got to go through a lot of testing. You do like a lot of psychological tests on you and psych valves, and they go into your past, and they really look into everything with your social media, and they put you through a ringer, man. It's like I compare it to going for a mortgage. I think that's the most paperwork I've ever done since going for a mortgage. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they want to keep the reputation of the show, so.
Absolutely. I mean, it's what they need to do, to be honest with you, because you don't know who you're getting. I mean, you see this person for what they are, but you don't know, where their social media stands and where they come from, and so yeah, they put you through a ringer, man, and which is a good thing, because I tell you, the people they pick for the show are just freaking amazing, man. It was such a blessing. They did such a great job of grabbing all these different investigators throughout the country that didn't know each other. Mm-hmm. We never worked. The only two that knew each other were Brian and Rochelle, because they came from the same team. and putting us all together, and we all meshed, and we just hit the ground running. We've been running ever since.
So we know you're a ghost hunter, but there's more to your life than that. You know, I like people to know more about the person that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So, you know, like what are the things you like to do? And, you know,
well,
you got to have a life outside of, you know, the ghost hunting and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's, I'm married to my wife, Melanie. I've got a total of 5 kids, between, you know, my 4 sons, and, you know, we have a son together, and my stepdaughter. And I owned 2 businesses before I started Ghost Hunters. The one I still have a license for, and I kept that because it's a hard one to keep and lose. My firearms instructor business, but the contracting business I really don't do anymore. I kind of let my partner take it over and run with it, because I tried to do it when we were on the road, like keeping up with phone calls and stuff. It's impossible, man. You're shooting so much, and you're investigating so much, and you're traveling so much, you have no time. When you're on the road, people who've never worked on a show or worked on, like, you know, Ghost Hunters. I mean, Ghost Hunters it's a serious show. I mean, it's like you're traveling, you're flying, you're traveling in cars, you're on boats, whatever. You know, and then you're in hotels where, you know, you might get 4 or 5 hours sleep, and then you're back investigating again. I mean, it's nonstop. It just keeps rolling, man. It doesn't stop until you get on your plane to come back home. You might get 1 or 2 days off, and usually in those 1 or 2 days off, you're just trying to recuperate to go to the next, or you're traveling to the next case. Like when we're on the road, and say we do one case, takes us, you know, a week or so to do, and once we finish that and we wrap that case for that, that investigation, you're basically in a vehicle or on a plane flying to the next one.
Yeah.
And you get there, and first thing, either Sunday or Monday, you start your next investigation. So yeah, you really don't have a whole lot of time to yourself, man. I barely, I work out religiously, and I first one of the things I do, man, as soon as I wake up, is eat, hit the gym, and get a shower. Next thing I know, I'm back to investigating and filming, man. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that y'all aren't out there just for one night. Y'all are out there for a week or 2.
Yeah. I mean, there's been cases, most of our cases anywhere from 5 to 7 days, but we've done ones that have been over 2 weeks. Yeah. You'll see some of the cases we did on season 2. Some of those cases, it took 2 weeks to do them, because there were such immense, large locations that you couldn't do it in a week.
Right.
There's no possible way you could cover everything you need to cover for the client in 1 week.
Dang. See, we're back on the ghost hunting subject.
It's a full circle.
He just comes back around, doesn't he?
Goes right back around, man. But no, yeah, I mean, that's who I am, man. I mean, I like I said, I own a contracting company. I was a concealed carry instructor, so I still own that. I don't do it right now, but I hold the license for it. And the contracting, like I said, I don't really do anymore, except for stuff for myself or for family members if they need my help when I'm home. But this is the most I've been home for a long time, man.
Wow. Well, I guess that's the one good thing you're getting out of this whole virus thing. You get to hang out at the house more often.
Yeah, I'm going a little stir crazy. I've been home for about 5 weeks now, and I feel like I need to be doing something, some projects or something, but I'm just like, I can't go anywhere, so it's, and we do go somewhere. It's usually we go, once a week. It's only one of us that goes, either myself or my wife, and we'll hit the grocery store or whatever. But, like I said, we wrapped season 2 in mid-February. And pretty much I've been doing events. I came right home and started doing events. I was doing events all the way from January on, in between filming. But the events have been keeping me busy too, except for with the whole virus thing and the quarantine, we had to postpone a bunch of events, which will be later in the spring or summer. But I was doing events every weekend almost. I mean, I would, travel to like, Virginia or I just got back from California, like, 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did a big event out there, and out there where Brandon lives. And so, yeah, the events, man, are fun because you get to actually get out and meet the people who are watching the show. And you get to do a meet and greet and Q&A session and investigate with them at the end of the night and into the morning. And people are really loving it, man. It's nice to get out there and meet everybody and meet the fans and the followers of the show and get their input, which is really nice. And they're always very welcoming, and they're very humble, and they love the show, and everybody's really looking forward to season 2. And we were talking off the air. Season 2 is a whole other animal, and you can't even explain it to anybody until they see it. Season 1, I think we were following the old blueprint of the old show, and it was great, but I think we needed to move forward and expand the equipment we were using, and expand the experiments and the way we were doing things. And that's what you're going to see in season 2. You're going to see locations that have never been done before, locations that good luck getting to them, because you're going to spend a fortune either getting to them, or it's going to take you days to get to them because they're so remote and off the map. Only one of the locations on season 2 has ever been on a show before. And the only reason we went there was because people were asking the new ghost hunters to go to this location because it was such a massive place and people loved it. So we went. And I can tell you what that is. It's Waverly Hills. We mentioned it in season 1 that we were going there. Yeah. So, yeah. And cool thing about going back there as a new team and going back with Grant, Grant's been there several times. He was on the old show, is we approached it in a totally different way. And we found some really cool things, or came across some really neat things that they didn't capture in the first show, which is really awesome. And the one thing with the old show, it laid the groundwork for where we are now. So for us to take it to that next level, and that's what we did. We took it to that next level, which was amazing.
So did you find that the fans were like real accepting when y'all, they saw y'all first on and not the old team together?
Yeah. Most of the people were very accepting. And they were, of course you had the people who, that were, diehard of the old show, but the thing is with those guys, I think they come across, and they're seeing the way we're doing it, and they're liking the way we're doing it. And I think that's a big thing. If you can bring them in, and pull them in, with a whole new team, that's a big accomplishment for us.
Right. Well, at first it was kind of surprising to see, the old group was not back together again. But when we saw that you were meshing so well together, I guess it was kind of comforting to know that we're going to see a good show again. Yeah.
Is that beeping on your side or my side?
Actually, I think it's my side. So if you want to keep talking, I'll get rid of it real quick.
Oh, yeah. No, we really. I didn't know if it was my home alarm going off or something, but it didn't sound like.
No, we have a clock that we forgot how to set it, and it's decided to go off.
I was just making sure it wasn't my house alarm getting ready to go off.
That's what happens when you're live.
Yeah. No, it's the team meshing, man. I mean, I think that's what we were just talking about. The fact that everybody meshed really well, and people really accepted us, is great. Like I said, like we would never knock the old show. The old show was laid the groundwork for a lot of what we do, and great people over there, and have all the respect in the world for those guys. We wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for them. And I know people, I know people will really, accepted us for, being the new team and the new show, like I said, this new season 2, is a whole nother animal. It's taken it in an entirely different direction. You're going to see places you've never seen before, and it's very these places are very remote. They've never been investigated before until we came there, and for the client to actually reach out to some of us and to us and say, hey guys, you need to come. You're the only ones we trust to do this. Ghost hunters. That's a big deal, man. And we had one client which was really sticks in my mind. A young girl who 21, 22 years old. She was our client. She actually was messaging and sending emails to our producers and saying, look, if you guys don't come out, no one's going to come out. And so we had to do this case. And this case this is the one we did in Alaska. And the crazy thing is, to get to Alaska is quite the task. But to get to where we were once we got to Alaska was a whole nother ballgame. This was a remote settlement. It took us, 4 hours, almost 4 hours by boat to get there once we got to Alaska. So for us to do that, and we actually went out there, we were probably in location for 11 or 12 days. We actually got at one point where we couldn't leave. We were supposed to leave. We had to turn the boat around about an hour into it and come back and stay another night or two because the weather was so bad. That says a lot for the crew and the team and all we went through. We went through hell. We went through hell in all these locations. The weather was, it didn't cooperate with us at all. It's crazy because in season 2, it'd be like, you would go from being in the desert where it was 90 to 100 degrees during the day, and you're at 1,000 feet above sea level, and the next week you would be in 20 below weather, 7,000 or 8,000 feet above sea level. So your body's getting beat up at the same time, from flying and the change of the environment, the altitude and everything. It plays a toll on you. It really does. Then you fly home for a week or two and you start acclimating back to your regular life and to go back into it again. And it's crazy, but it was so worth it. I remember sitting in, we had just wrapped season 2, and it was, there was the crew and Brandon, Brian and myself, and we sat down. It was at night, around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and we were able to actually watch one of the new episodes. And when we watched that, man, that's when it all hit home, and we're like, oh my God, this is why we did all this. This is why we traveled thousands of miles on planes and boats and cars, beating ourselves up, putting ourselves through hell. And we saw it, man, for the first time. And it was even the rough copy of it. And we were just like, holy cow, we're blown away by this. This is nothing that's ever been done on a paranormal show. It's
Right.
never been done, man. And people are going to be blown away by it. I can't wait till April 8th.
Did you find it weird seeing yourself on TV though?
I'm used to it now, man. I got to the point where it's like, it doesn't even, I'm so numb to it. Season 1, definitely. The first time we saw ourselves on TV, on A&E, and A&E's huge. I remember we were in Vicksburg, Mississippi. We were filming, and our show aired for the first time on that Wednesday night. So we took the night off. They had a big party for us and in a hotel. And I remember sitting there, and they had this big 90-inch flat screen TV they brought in for us, and we're all sitting back. We're having a few beers and hit some shots and watching us, watching the show. And it's like, you're just blown away by it. And the worst part was it was kind of bittersweet because you weren't with your family watching it. You're with your extended family, which is the crew and the team, which it's like we're family. We're all family. Any one of those guys could knock on my door today, and I'm like, come in, get your ass in here, stay with me, whatever, if anything happened. I remember, Skyping with my wife after the show and before the show, and like she had a big party at the house, and it was like 20 or 30 people here, and I'm 1,000 miles away in Mississippi, and it's kind of bittersweet, but it was great, man. And you finally get to come home and enjoy it with your family and watch it again. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not on television, but I do a YouTube channel, and of course, I'm doing the editing, and I have to kind of go through and see if there's parts I need to take out or whatever. And I still can't stand to hear my voice. It drives me nuts. And then I look at myself, I'm like, God, I look like such a dork when I'm doing this.
See, I feel that way. I feel that way when we're actually investigating. And you got a camera on you and stuff. I feel that way. But when I see that, then I go back to watch the show and watch what they use. It seems different to me. I don't know. I'm numb to it, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I guess I need to get numb to it as well. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just like, God, I look so dorky when I'm doing that. My hair's going all over the place, and like, you know what? I'm just gonna start tying it back from now on, so I don't have to worry about it. It's stupid stuff like that.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah, you could. I mean, there's times you critique yourself when you're watching yourself on TV. You look at an investigation you were on or something. You're just like, did I really say that, or did I really do? Really? And then you're like, you get over it. It's like it's out there. 1.5 million people just saw it, so it's done. It's in the past.
Have a few drinks and forget about it, right?
Yeah. As long as I don't end up on TMZ or something, I'm fine.
Oh God, right? Well, I mean, I didn't get on television, and I tried out for a show, and it wasn't paranormal related, but I went through the whole process. It took us a year before we finally got to shoot the pilot. And,
okay.
We spent 3 or 4 days filming. It was just, like I said, the pilot. They wanted to see what was going on. The director we had us be kind of stoic the whole time. And me and my buddies, we like to joke around a lot. So they didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
And it was very disappointing. But I did learn a valuable lesson. Turn the mic off before you go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Or before you have a conversation.
Yeah, that camera guy over there. It's just weird. They're following you around the whole time, even when you're not, actually in the action. And then later on, they want to sit you down and ask you about what you did earlier in the day. Hell, I don't remember what I had at lunchtime. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know. We do that. We do the interviews right after our actual investigations, and sometimes we don't get to, so we have to go back to it like the end of the night, and actually, they'll sit us down, hey, what happened, and during that investigation, and you're like, oh man, it's like it's so hard to remember sometimes because you're such in the moment. But I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
I was disappointed. We waited all that time, and they decided they didn't want to do the show. But like I say, they didn't let us be us. I think it would have been a whole lot different if they did. But
I agree.
Something else will pop up sometime.
It will. It always does, man.
And so, what else do you like to do in your spare time?
I work out religiously. That's one of the things I do every 6 days a week at least. I try to stay very active when it comes to that. Right now it's a little hard, so I'm working out at home because the gyms and everything are closed. But I make it work, man. Besides that, hanging out with the kids and doing stuff like that, and family. When you can, you get family time. It's very important to me because you get to come home and just kind of be yourself, man. You don't have to worry about a camera or having a mic on you or anything like that. And you just be yourself. You could be. I can just breathe and be Daryl Marston, and not be Daryl Marston, the investigator. And quite honestly, with me, man, what you see right here is what you get on the show. I'm the same person. I can say that everybody on the show, they're all the same people. Like if you saw Mustafa or Brian or Brandon or whoever, Rochelle, out on the street somewhere or at a restaurant, you're getting the same exact person as you get on the show. There's no difference. It's just here I can just let loose. I can have a beer. I can just chill out and be dad or be whoever.
Yeah. Well, the family, of course, your kids are going to grow up, and then they're out of the house, and you miss that being together. So this is an important part of your life,
Yeah. I got an 8-year-old. Well, he'll be 8 in next Sunday. He's my youngest. And I tell you, man, just being, the last year or so on the road, just come home every couple of weeks or 3 weeks and you see him, he's like, he's grown another freaking 5 inches. It's amazing, but, it's all for a good thing, good cause, man. We're helping people, which is the main part. We actually, people don't realize this. We actually have an actual client at the end, that we have to, and this is why we're so much sticklers on the equipment we use and the techniques we use and the way we approach investigations. And we actually investigate because we have a client that wants answers, whether it be a business owner, a homeowner, or whoever. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, when this case, when this investigation is done, you have to sit down in front of that client and give them answers if you can, and to the best, as best as you can, for investigating for a week, and you want to, you want your equipment to be the best equipment out there because you want to capture the good evidence. You want, equipment that is being used in professional fields like science, in the field of science, or engineers use it, or somebody, like a NASA scientist uses it, because you want that equipment to be the real deal, man. And that's why we don't use, and we don't knock it. I don't knock it, and none of the other guys knock it. I know there's people out there that think we do. We don't knock the SOS and the REM pods and things of that nature. It's just we can't use it. We literally cannot use it because we can't prove it with something like that.
Right.
There's too many false positives. There really is. I have an SOS right there. It's been sitting there for 5 years. It's just because I can't prove anything with it. I bought it on a whim just to have fun with it, to see what it was all about. And I used it one time, and I haven't used it since. It's just because I can't take it to a client at the end of the investigation and say, I'm 100% sure I caught a ghost because I caught a stick figure. I can't do it personally because there is somebody that is counting on me to, to give them, give them actual evidence without any false positives attached to it. And that's why we use the stuff we use.
Okay, I've got a few people on here asking questions.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, Darren wants to know, how extensive are your sweeps of the places you go to?
The sweeps, like before we investigate?
Yeah.
Pretty extensive. There's times that, Brandon and I will go into a location with the client. Yeah, we'll meet with the client, we'll do the tour and everything. And the whole time, we're taking notes, either taking notes on paper or on a phone or our head of what we want to come back and look at before we actually investigate. And then once we get out of there, the team will go in, Mustafa, Brian, Rochelle, Kristen, and they'll look at everything as well with the producers and go through and we do a lot of debunking, man. You don't see it on the show because there's just not time for it. You might catch a little bit of it during an investigation on something maybe we missed or we want to hit again. But there's a lot of debunking that goes on and a lot of theories. Somebody tells us, I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this. Me being a contractor for all these years, the first thing I think of, they're hearing something banging a wall. Okay, maybe it's the HVAC, or maybe it's the plumbing, or rodents, or anything. That's the first thing that comes to mind, not paranormal. So we take a very scientific approach to it, a very down to earth approach. We stay on earth, and then whatever we can't debunk, if you see it on the show or you don't see it on the show, that's what we investigate. So if I'm able to go in and debunk that door opening over there because the latch is bad or the hinges are, are off center or something, and it's opening and closing on its own, if there's a draft, I'm not even going to investigate that because I just debunked it. We'll tell the client that. We'll give them a total rundown and everything, but the stuff that we can't debunk is what we investigate. So we can't debunk this full body apparition walking down the hallway that 50 people have seen over the last 10 years. Of course, we're going to investigate that.
Oh, yeah. Do you use equipment when you're first coming on the location, or it's just eyeballing?
Well, it all depends on what the claim is. Like I said, if they're feeling, in a certain room, they're feeling, feelings of dread, of course we're going to do an EMF sweep.
Right.
We're going to check for, high EMF or faulty wiring or something of that nature. And we did a lot of that on season 1 where you actually saw it. Now we do it, but you don't see it on the show as much because we're too busy showing the actual investigations.
Right.
We cut a lot of the fat out of the show. A lot of the stuff that people know we're probably doing anyway. We're big on debunking things. That's the first thing. And they're like, there's been so much evidence we captured. And I've told a lot of people this. When we do our actual reviewing of the footage and everything, we actually do that. We whatever investigation I did, I review all my own footage. Right. We have one whole day, 24 hours that we have to do. We have to get it done. We take all that footage. We take all the audio. I wear a body cam. Mm-hmm. We'll carry a thermal. We carry hand cams. We have a lockdown camera. Each of us have our own lockdown cameras, each team. And we review all that. We might have 2 or 3 different audio pieces of equipment going at the same time between binaurals and ambisonics. I carry a Zoom 6 on me, with my own personal Zoom 6 I use on some investigations, plus our body cams and all that. And we go over all that. And there's so much footage and audio that we've actually captured that we've thrown out because it's just if there's a shadow of a doubt, if it's 99.9% paranormal and there's that 0.1% it's not, we throw it out. We have to.
Right.
Because we can't take that to a client and say, this is definitely paranormal, because we don't know. And it sucks because there's a lot of good stuff that people don't see. But I'll tell you what, season 2, you guys are going to be blown away by what the stuff we captured.
What is your favorite piece of equipment, and what's the one piece of equipment you just don't like at all?
Well, my favorite piece of equipment that we use on the show is definitely the new camera we're using. You'll see it on the first episode of season 2. But the second piece would probably be the EDIs, or we call them data recorders, because it actually records, temperature increase, decrease, humidity, EMF. It does vibration. It does, what did I forget? I forgot something there. Pressure. And it records all that one little box, and they're so well shielded. I can pretty much get right next to it with a walkie-talkie or a cell phone and we'll set it off, which is so nice. And we could take all that. And the big thing is, what's just really cool about it is, so say if I'm doing an investigation and I'm hearing footsteps or audible voices or getting an EVP, and at the same time that data recorder is going off and it's having pressure spikes and temperature decrease or increase, and I'm actually able to correlate that with the same time I got that EVP or I was hearing those footsteps. You got to take that and say, okay, so you compile that evidence, which we've been doing for the last 2 seasons, and we're putting it together. Like, okay, this is what's happening. You're seeing we're finding out in a lot of these paranormal cases, when we're getting actual evidence or we're capturing something happening, we're actually at the same time getting pressure spikes. is really interesting. So the pressure in the room is basically changing, or the area wherever you are is actually changing at the same time you're getting this paranormal activity happening. So that's a direction we're heading in. That's some of the stuff we compiled. We brought it to the table. It's here. We know it's here. And now we're trying to, get all that together, and, we have all our theories and everything we're throwing out at the same time. We're all throwing different things on the table. And once you get all that compiled and we can build something out of it, it's what we take to the client.
I got another question on here. And I guess when y'all are out there and you kind of have your little downtime, what's the things y'all like to do for fun?
Drink.
Good answer. Personally, I quit drinking years ago, but that's, health.
No,
reasons,
I think that on our downtime, quite honestly, we hang out. A lot of our downtime is, us trying to keep contact with our families. That's one thing we do. All of us do religiously. We call in the wives or the husbands or boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever, and the kids, and just trying to keep in touch with. Like when I'm on the road, I'll Skype my wife or call my wife 3, 4, 5 times a day. Wow. Just to touch base, see what's going on at home, and how's things going, and just keeping that that family unit, and trying to you're just trying to do 50 things at once, man. But I think on our downtime is sometimes we hang out and we'll go play pool, shuffleboard. We even went hatchet throwing one time, which was really cool.
Oh yeah, I like that.
We were in Missouri and we had a day off, and it was me, Brandon, and Mustafa, and we went bowling and went hatchet throwing and bowling. We did everything in like one day, man. It was fun stuff. Good times.
Do you get noticed a lot when you get out in public?
Yeah, starting to. We get noticed a lot in the airports. We're definitely when we're on, on the investigation, like if we're, at a hotel, we've had hotels where we went to, and as soon as we walk in the door, the lady at the front desk be like, "Okay, guys, look, I'm gonna let you know, people know you're here already." And you're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "People are already showing up trying to meet you guys." They're like, "Okay." So somebody leaked it. They're not even supposed to know we're there, but somebody leaked it. Because we try to keep that really quiet, just so, because we've been on investigations where we've been actually investigating a building, and people will drive by or people just show up. And we were in Texas, matter of fact, your home state. We were filming in Pampa. I'll never forget this. We were filming in Pampa, and we were filming the hospital there, Worley Hospital, and we're sitting out there and we're doing an interview with me, Grant, and I can't forget who else. And this guy he just walks right up right in the middle of the interview, and he's standing there. And we're looking at the guy like, "Who is this guy?" And he's just sitting there, and a couple of our people come on, like, "Hey, your producer, who are you, man? You gotta leave," And that happened every day there, every hour on the hour when we were investigating. Either people were driving by playing the Ghostbusters music, or they were showing up trying to talk to us and bringing us gifts and stuff. It was amazing. People are great, though. I love them, man. The people who watch this, they're just amazing people. I love all of them, man. I try anytime I run into somebody, man, that knows who I am or watches the show, I try to have a full conversation with them if humanly possible. Like I was in Walgreens not long ago, just standing in line in my hometown here, and I'll never forget. I'm not even paying attention. I just got home. Literally been home for maybe 12 or 13 hours. I was wiped out. I remember I had to get some stuff. I was standing in line, and I remember this older guy walks up to me. He's like, and I'm like, I thought he was going to ask me where something was or something. I'm like, he's like, "Are you the guy from Ghost?" Like he's whispering, "Are you the guy from Ghost Hunters?" So I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, I was just making sure because my wife, she really loves you, and she's this little old lady standing down the aisle, and she's like giggling. He's like, "I know who you are." I'm like, "Come here." I said, "Come here," and she walks over, and I give her a hug and everything, and I said hi to them, and it's funny, man. They're great people.
You ever had any creeps coming up?
No, not yet. No, never. No, yeah, not that I can remember, man. No, I mean, you you get weird looks sometimes. I think people they recognize you, but they don't recognize you. Like they'll see, especially in an airport. I'll be in an airport sitting there, and I fly alone a lot of times because I live on the East Coast, and most of the people live out west. And so I usually don't travel with a bunch of the crew or team. And I'll be sitting in there, like the Philadelphia airports where I fly out of, and I'll be sitting there, and like people will like walk by, they'll take the double look, and the next thing you know, they pull their phone out and they're like looking at you, like they're Googling you or something. I get a lot of that. Yeah.
Make sure they get your name right when they come up to talk to you.
Yeah. I think they're. I don't know if they're scared of me or what. I guess people will say I'm pretty menacing looking, so I don't know.
Yeah, you can be a little intimidating. I could see that.
Yeah, so I think they're a little afraid to talk to me. But if anybody's watching, you can come and talk to me anytime. I'm not going to bite your head off or anything. I'm not like that. I'm very talkative.
Okay, make sure your wife's not around. I'm going to ask you this question. Women throw themselves at you when you are out in public?
No. Nothing like that. No.
Okay, that's the safe answer. She must be in earshot.
No, she's not. She's probably watching it, but she knows.
Oh, man. So if your kids wanted to get into this, would you be real supportive of that? Or, because some of that stuff's kind of dangerous.
Oh, yeah. It can be. Absolutely. I tell people this, it's not so much the paranormal side I worry about when I'm investigating, it's the human side.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to some pretty shady places, man. And it can, when the human side of it, you're going to see this, especially in season 2 on the first episode, actually, when the human side mixes with the paranormal side, it gets pretty scary, man. Because there's people out there doing things you see on the movies, you see these the occult type activity and things like that. When you actually run into that, it's not fun. It's very scary. It's dangerous, and some of these people are fanatics. And we've been to places where they didn't want us there. And for certain, and not everybody, but a certain element of a town might not want us there because we're uncovering things, and we really are good at uncovering things.
Right.
Things that are hidden. We have a great historian. We have a great team of investigators. When I say investigate, they investigate everything, not just the paranormal. We have great producers. So we find out stuff sometimes that really pisses people off, and they don't like it. We ran that in season 1 on a location. I'm not going to mention location, but we ran that in season 1 where we had a blowback after the episode aired, and we're still dealing with that to this day. They didn't like the outcome of it and what we actually brought to the table and some of the things we found. And we actually didn't even show on the show, on TV, what half the stuff we found. Not even 3/4 what we found, just to save grace for them.
Right.
So, it's the human element that scares the hell out of me, man.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Yorktown at the hospital?
No.
We did an investigation there one time. We actually had people that were trying to break in while we were there. So I know exactly what you mean.
I've been in buildings where I've had drive-bys done on me. Not on the show.
Yeah.
I was in Cleveland. And they did a drive-by on the building. It's a bad situation, man. The place is it's crazy. It's a place that I did, way before the show. And it's a place I want to go back to, actually. I didn't want to for years. I would love to get the show to go there. Of course, with a lot of security. But it was a crazy location.
All right. Darren has another question for you, and he wants to know about the guys that own a satanic church.
That's the building I'm talking about.
Okay, well, we exposed it right here.
He wants to know about the guy who owns it or about the location.
I guess he wants to know about the guy.
Well, this is public knowledge. This is nothing I'm not letting a cat out of the bag. This is public knowledge. Gentleman's name is Eric Friedman. He's actually a really nice guy. he just sees things differently than a lot of people do. He is the head of the new Satanic Church. I think that's I might be wrong in the name. I believe it's a branch off, a splinter group of the Satanic Church, Anton LaVey's church. Matter of fact, it was Eric Freeman and Anton LaVey's grandson that splinter grouped and made their own chapter.
Okay.
And he owns the property, and he still does rituals in the building. From what I'm pretty sure he still does to this day because he still owns it. But they do satanic rituals in the building. I don't know exactly what they do. I've seen some video. I didn't see any like sacrifices or anything that crap. But yeah, the place is it's a very dark presence there. I'm not gonna say demon because I don't use that word, but I can tell you, it's the only place I've ever been investigating. I've investigated a lot of places that it actually felt like the building was its own entity, like it was alive.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could make a movie about that. And it would be the #1 selling Netflix movie probably of the year. I gotta tell you what, man, just the place itself, and then the location it is, and it's like in the worst part of Cleveland you can imagine. A lot of activity there, a lot of drug activity, a lot of shootings. Yeah, it's a bad place, man. Yeah.
And I've never run across anything like that, but we did go to a neighborhood that was pretty shady to do an investigation. It's like you're always looking out, see if your car's still there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to get attacked or not.
Oh yeah, that was the scary part about that place, because the building itself was bad enough, but the outside element was just as bad. One good thing about it was that place is so bad, the building itself, the locals won't even walk in front of the building.
Dang.
You'll be standing out front on the sidewalk, that you'll see them walking down the sidewalk, like they'll probably get maybe 100 feet, 200 feet from the building, and they'll cross the street just to walk past the building. Yeah. That's a bad location, man.
Okay, well, I know not to go there then.
Yeah.
So what does your wife think about all this?
Oh, she's very supportive, man. Very supportive, always has been. I think she's a little jealous she doesn't get to do it all with me all the time. So basically when I get home, my big thing is when I do these events, I always try to take her with me if possible. So she gets to go doing some investigating and things of that nature. And it's always nice too, because it kind of takes you back to when we first started out, investigating together and just having fun. Neither one of us knew what the hell we were doing at the time, but yeah. So when I do these events, especially the local events, like if it's within 5 or 6 hours of me driving, I take her with me.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent my honeymoon with my wife at the Ohio State Reformatory, so.
There you go. Yeah, most people go to Hawaii, man. Yeah, we go investigating. Like I'm up to go to Gettysburg anytime, man, because I live like 2 hours from Gettysburg, and I try to go there as much as humanly possible. I've been there 3 times in the last year, 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody that I talk to, they always go back to talking about Gettysburg, and I'm so psyched that one day I'm gonna make it out there.
Absolutely.
They say it's active as crazy.
I've never been to a place so active, man, where you can actually. I mean, I made a joke about this several years ago. You could be in a freaking porta potty in Gettysburg and get something, man. It's crazy, man. It's you got to remember, 53,000 plus soldiers either died or wounded or captured in 3 days, and that's got to leave an imprint. You've got to leave an imprint. I mean, the bodies piled up for months. They were burying people in shallow graves. They were throwing them in like rock like crevices just to get rid of the bodies because there were so many of them. So I mean, you can only imagine what's there, man, and that imprint is left, and it's crazy, man. It's so active. It's surreal.
Somebody's decided that she wants to help host. She will not stop coming up in my lap. I have to end the show, but if you want to continue talking on Facebook, we can do that.
Yeah, we can go for another 15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say and continue to support us. We really appreciate it. And so y'all take care.
Thank you for joining us on Into the Pit. Please follow us on Facebook at the Vibes Broadcast Network and Instagram at the Vibes Broadcast.